تعجل بالقرآن من قبل أن يقضى إليك وحيه وقل رب زدني علما.
The fifth ayah, وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. In this ayah, in Surah an-Nisaa, it mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Musa with speech in reality. Allah spoke to Musa in reality. وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Allah spoke to Musa in reality. And Musa alayhi salam heard Allah when Allah spoke to him. Takliman, in the end of this ayah, when it says وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا, this in Arabic, this type of maf'ul mutlaq, it indicates an affirmation that this was speech in reality. It was not some type of metaphor or some type of simile or some type of example being given. The word at the end, taklima, that maf'ul mutlaq in Arabic, it is for the purpose of emphasis that Allah certainly spoke to Musa in reality. Masdar mu'akkad, والمصدر المؤكد بكسر الكاف المؤكد والمصدر المؤكد بكسر الكاف قال العلماء إنه ينفي احتمال المجاز. So when you have this type of مفعول مطلق, it negates any possibility of metaphors or similes. Some of the people of innovation, they try to distort this particular ayah. The ayah where Allah said, وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا, they try to distort and change this ayah very slightly. And by doing so, you can change the meaning of it. Right now the ayah says, وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. كلم فعل ماضي. الله لفظ الجلالة فاعل مرفوع. لفظ الجلالة فاعل مرفوع. The fa'il in Arabic is مرفوع. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لفظ الجلالة is the fa'il, meaning Allah is the one who did the verb of kallama. Allah is the one who spoke. And Musa is therefore the مفعول به. مفعول به موسى منصوب علامة نصبه فتحة مقدرة لأنه So that there is the مفعول به منصوب فتحة مقدرة مقصور. The point being, it's a clear grammatical ayah. Kallama, to speak. Who spoke? Allahu, with a dhamma. Marfu' with a dhamma means Allah is the one who was speaking. Musa is then the maf'ul bihi, the one who was being spoken to. That's what the ayah says. But the people of innovation, what do? وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهَ. Instead of وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ, which is what the ayah says, they change it and say وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهَ Musa taklima. By changing the dhamma to a fatha, Allahu into Allah. Now grammatically the sentence changes altogether. When you say وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهَ Musa taklima, now Allah, lafzul jalala, becomes the maf'ul and Musa becomes the fa'il, meaning then it says Musa spoke to Allah. When you say وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهَ Musa, that Musa spoke to Allah. By changing it to a fatha, they are affirming that Musa spoke to Allah. But is there any affirmation that Allah spoke to Musa then? Then there isn't. That's what they want to get rid of. They want to get rid of the affirmation that Allah spoke to Musa. So they change it, make this tahrif that we spoke about right at the beginning when we started this a few months ago. They make that distortion in the ayah and change the dhamma to a fatha, marfu' to mansoob. And it changes the meaning altogether. It makes it mean that Musa spoke to Allah, but Allah didn't speak to Musa. And that is from their deviation and misguidance. We can see clearly, وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ Musa. And even if, like in the olden days, the Arabs who were strong in their language, they could read Arabic without Dhamma Fatha Kasra. But even without Dhamma Fatha Kasra here, you still know it's Kallama Allahu Musa Taklima, because of the emphasis at the end as well. The emphasis Taklima highlights also that it was a reality of speech, that Allah spoke to Musa alayhi salam in reality with words and sound that was heard by Musa alayhi salam. Then, and that's why the scholars they say, a talibul ilm needs to make sure that he is very precise with his tongue. You need to make sure you read things very accurately. It is not suitable for a talib al-ilm to be making mistakes on these things. Imagine a talib al-ilm makes a mistake here. وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهَ Musa Taklima, doesn't realize. That's a big error. And so the scholars they say from the requirements of a talib al-ilm that he needs to focus on is that he strengthens his tongue in his ability to read, his ability to pronounce things, to especially pronounce the ayat and the ahadith correctly. That is a requirement for a talib al-ilm. You do not want to be making lahan, mistakes and distortions in your reading and pronunciation of ayat and ahadith especially. They mention that. And they say the way that you're going to be able to achieve that, how does a talib al-ilm achieve the ability to read things properly and precisely, on the ayat especially and ahadith also? By reading upon the scholars. They say that's the way that you correct yourself. Read upon the scholars. They will correct your reading. And the more you do that, the better you become with your reading, the more proficient you become with your reading. That you accompany a scholar and you read upon a scholar and you correct your tongue therefore. And they mention this in the characteristics that a student of knowledge must focus to acquire. One of the characteristics is the ability to read and pronounce and speak with accuracy, especially in ayat and in ahadith. So here you see how that small change, the people of innovation, they make it and change the meaning of the ayah altogether.